So welcome to lesson 20 in our Macbeth series. To recap the events in Act 3 that have happened so far, read and study Act 3, Scene 2, watch performance of that scene, and then make some revision notes. So they're kind of the same format we've been using recently. Act 3, what has happened so far? Well, King Macbeth now rules Scotland alongside his queen. In the script, his title and some old copies of the script, his title actually changes from Macbeth to King, or King Macbeth at this point. Lady Macbeth stays as Lady Macbeth though. Despite appearing happy and in good spirits, Macbeth is fearful of Banquo. That's a really important element of this whole third act. Macbeth knows what the witches said about Banquo's future and how he'll be the father to a long line of Scottish kings. This makes, in Macbeth's mind, Banquo a threat. Banquo's done nothing actually to scare Macbeth. It's just the prophecy that is threatening Macbeth. Nothing Banquo has actually physically done. Finally, Macbeth organises Banquo's assassination by employing two desperate men who'll do anything to make their lives better. Those two murderers who we met in our previous lesson. Scene. Okay, and the colour coding will help us identify which bits I'm talking about. So, Act 3, Scene 2, enter Lady Macbeth and a servant. Lady Macbeth says, "Is Banquo gone from court?" Servant, "Aye, madam, but returns again tonight." Lady Macbeth, "So say to the king I would attend his leisure for a few words." "Madam, I will." And that's the first little note there that's worth highlighting and looking at, is the fact that to get her husband's attention, she has to ask a servant to go and do it. So that it's creating a little sense of a gap in their relationship. Lady Macbeth is now on stage, alone. "Naught's had, all's spent. Where our desire is got without content, 'tis safer to be that which we destroy, than by destruction dwell in doubtful joy." And that little poem, those little 4 lines there, is her just expressing that she is basically really unhappy because she's got what she wanted, but that's not satisfying her because everything that they've got is uncertain and in doubt. It's not being kind of solidified and made secure yet. So there's the sense that they've got what they wanted, but they've not got it in a way that's secure, and that means that they can enjoy the situation. Instead, they're constantly looking over their shoulders because of the guilt and the fear of getting caught or being found out what they've done. So yes, they've got the crown, but they haven't got the peace and tranquility that they would hope would go with it. Macbeth comes on stage. "How now, my lord? Why do you keep alone? Of sorriest fancies your companions making, using those thoughts which should indeed have died with them they think on. Things without all remedy should be without regard. What's done is done." So there she's trying to help Macbeth just kind of get over it, move on. She's telling him, don't think about don't think about things that can't be fixed. Things that without all remedy should not be without regard. So if you can't fix it, if you can't solve the problem, don't think about it. Just ignore it. That's not easy, is it? And finally, the phrase "what's done is done." A sense that it's you can't go back, you can't fix it, you can't change what you've done. You just got to accept it. So she's got a very different personality here. A bit in green, she's kind of all sad and she's worried and she's unhappy, and then in the bit in the blue, she's trying to put this kind of brave face, this kind of quite confident front. And again, it's all about deceiving and the appearances not being true or honest in this play. When she's on her own, she's quite vulnerable and quite open. When Macbeth comes on stage, she puts this front on to make it seem like she's completely in control, everything's fine, and he's the one with the problems. Here we go. Macbeth says, "We have scorched the snake, not killed it. She'll close and be herself whilst our poor Malice remains in danger of her former tooth. Let the frame of things disjoined, both the worlds suffer." Ere we will eat our meal in fear, and sleep in the affection of these terrible dreams that shake us nightly. Better be with the dead, whom we to gain our peace have sent to peace, than on the torture of the mind to lie in restless ecstasy. Duncan is in his grave. After life's fitful fever he sleeps well. Treason has done his worst. Nor steel, nor poison, malice domestic, foreign levy, nothing can touch him further. And in that speech there to his wife, Macbeth is complaining about the situation that they're in, and he uses a snake metaphor. Okay, the idea that they have injured a snake, they've just damaged a snake, but it's going to heal and come back and bite them. And that's what this metaphor is. It's like they've got rid of Duncan, but they haven't really got themselves in a safe position. Something is going to come back and get them, and it's going to make them suffer. So that snake metaphor runs there in the first line and keeps going there. Okay, on to the form of tooth. Excuse me, just a sip of coffee. The next thing that Macbeth reveals is about the fear he's got. And it's 24/7 his fear. He says, we will eat our meal in fear, sleep in the affliction of these terrible dreams. He's having awful nightmares that shake him us nightly. And it's the trauma, the psychological trauma of killing Duncan and the guilt that's gone with it that is now affecting him. He's got no peace, no sleep. And what's the phrase? No rest for the wicked. Well, he's living that cliche at the moment. And then towards the end, he moves on and starts thinking about Duncan. He says Duncan's in his grave. Normally that would be like something you wouldn't be envious of, but from Macbeth's point of view, Duncan's safe. You know, all these things that are bothering Macbeth. So treason, the idea of being assassinated by being murdered with steel or poisoned, kind of domestic trouble, so kind of civil war or a foreign invasion. None of those things that Macbeth is worried about can hurt Duncan anymore. So there's a sense that he's almost like he wishes he was in Duncan's position, which is ironic because when he wasn't king, he wished he was king, and now he's king, he wishes he was dead. So he's constantly, he's like this little train of thought. Is always like he's not happy where he is, and he's regretting what he's done, but he's regretting what he's done by comparing his situation to someone else's. Lady Beth continues, come on, gentle my lord, sleek over your rugged looks, be bright and jovial among your guests tonight. And there's again that kind of theme of appearances being deceptive. She's saying them to just look good, make yourself look better, be bright, be happy, and everyone will think everything's fine. He says, so shall I, love, and so I pray be you. Let your remembrance apply to Banquo. Present him eminence both with eye and tongue, unsafe the while that we must leave our honours in these flattering streams, and make our faces vizards to our hearts, disguising what they are. So he says, yes, we will pretend to be happy tonight. So the sense of them still working together. He then asks her to pay a special attention to Banquo. There's a bit in green, and he wants her to be really attentive to him, despite the fact that they are disguising how they really feel. Okay, so make our faces vizards to our hearts, disguising what they are. So no one thinks that they hate or want to kill Banquo. They're going to be extra especially nice to him at the meal tonight. Lady Macbeth says, "You must leave this." So she is fed up, possibly desperate for him to stop obsessing about Banquo. Oh, full of scorpions is my mind, dear wife. Thou knowest that Banquo and Fleance live. Lady Macbeth says. But in them nature's copy is not eterne. There's comfort yet, they are assailable. They then be thou jocund, ere the bat hath flown his cloistered flight, ere to black Hecate summons the shard-born beetle with his drowsy hums, hath rung night's yawning peal, there shall be done a deed of dreadful note. So, towards the end of this page, first of all, right in the middle, we've got the orange quote, Macbeth in a vivid image describing how he feels. His mind is full of scorpions. So it's a really powerful image describing the mental anguish he's going through. But he's cheered up when Lady Macbeth says, but they won't live forever. And that reminds Macbeth that yes, they aren't going to live forever. In fact, they're going to be dead very soon. And he used this kind of quite a enigmatic speech here. He's not very clear. He kind of tells Lady Macbeth that at night, so when the bats come out, when the bats flying, and Hecate, who's the goddess of the witches, and the beetles are out, that it's all kind of these animal and kind of nocturnal or evil ideas and images. So all kind of not this nighttime stuff. There's going to be a deed of dreadful note. So he's basically saying that tonight, when it's dark, something terrible is going to happen. Well, we know what that is because we know that that's when the murderers are planning on attacking Banquo. Doesn't have a clue, and she says, "What's to be done?" Macbeth responds, "Be innocent of the knowledge, dearest Chuck, till thou applaud the deed. Come, sealing night, scarf up the tender eye of pitiful day, and with thy bloody and invisible hand cancel and tear to pieces that great bond which keeps me pale. Light thickens, and the crow makes wing to the rooky wood. Good things of day begin to droop and drowse, while night's black agents to their praise do rouse. Thou marvellest at my words, but hold thee still. Things bad begun make strong themselves by ill. So prithee, go with me." And just to highlight this book now, so yeah, just to clarify, to make it really clear, her question shows that she hasn't got a clue what's going on, and Macbeth thinks it's better that she doesn't know. He wants her to be innocent of the knowledge, dearest Chuck, until she can say well done to Macbeth. So there's a sense to him being a bit secretive here. Quite a contrast to when working together. When they kill Duncan, here Macbeth is keeping her out of the loop of the Banquo assassination. Come sealing night, scarf up the tender eye of pitiful day. So Macbeth there is calling on the powers of darkness to make the murder possible. He wants the bloody and invisible hand to cancel and tear to pieces that great bond which keeps me pale. So the idea there of using nighttime to violently kill Duncan, to violently kill Banquo. Macbeth's thoughts move towards nocturnal predators. So here we are. So black knights agents. So knights black agents to their praise do rouse. So that he's thinking about the murderers there closing in on their prey. And then here's like a little closing couplet. Is he surprised? Thou marvellest at my words. So he's kind of surprised that Lady Macbeth is looking so shocked. But hold you still. But don't move. Keep listening. Don't question me. Things bad begun make strong themselves by ill. So basically saying, we've gone bad, and the only way to keep going now is we've got to do more bad things. Once you've gone evil, you've got to keep being evil. And then I love this final line. So prithee, go with me. Almost like inviting her to stay on the bad side. To go into this kind of journey into darkness with him as an accomplice. But of course, he's not sharing everything like an accomplice should. So that's a bit ironic to not tell her what he's doing, but then ask her to come along with him. So an interesting close to that scene. So here we've got the scene in performance. I'm using today a clip from the Ian McKellen and Judi Dench performance, so hopefully you enjoy it. And then at the other side of the performance are some notes for you to copy down for revision purposes. See you soon.
Is Banquo gone from court?
Aye, madam, but returns again tonight.
Say to the king, I would attend his leisure for a few words.
Madam, I will.
Nought's had. All spent. When our desire is got without content. 'Tis safer to be that which we destroy than by destruction dwell in doubtful joy. How now, my lord? Why do you keep alone? Of sorriest fancies your companions making, using those thoughts which should indeed have died with him they think on. Things without all remedy should be without regard. What's done is done.
We have scotched the snake, not killed it. She'll close and be herself, whiles our poor Malice remains in danger of her former tooth. But let the frame of things disjoint, and both the worlds suffer, ere we will eat our meal in fear, and sleep in the affliction of these terrible dreams that shake us nightly. Better be with the dead, whom we to gain our peace have sent to peace, than on the torture of the mind to lie in restless ecstasy. Duncan is in his grave, after life's fitful fever. He sleeps well. Treason's done his worst, nor steel, nor poison, malice domestic, foreign lever, nothing can touch him further.
Come on! Gentle, my lord. Sleek o'er your rugged looks. Be bright and jovial among your guests tonight.
So shall I, love. And so I pray thee you let your remembrance apply to Banquo. Present him eminence both with eye and tongue, and safe the while that we must lave our honours in these flattering streams, and make our faces vizards to our hearts, disguising what they are.
You must leave this!
Oh, full of scorpions is my mind. Dear wife. Thou knowest that Banquo and his fleants live.
But in their nature's copy's not eternal.
Well, there's comfort yet. They are assailable. Then without jocund, ere the bat hath flown his cloistered flight, ere to black Hecate summons the shard-born beetle, with his drowsy hums hath rung night's yawning peal, there shall be done a deed of dreadful note.
What's to be done?
Be innocent of the knowledge, dearest Chuck, till thou applaud the deed. Come, sealing night, scarf up the tender eye of pitiful day, and with thy bloody and invisible hand cancel and tear to pieces that great band which keeps me pale. Light thickens, and the crow makes wing to the rooky wood. Good things of day begin to droop and drowse, whiles night's black agents to their praise do rouse. Thou marvelst at my words, but hold thee still. Things bad begun make strong themselves by ill. So, prithee go with me.
tense scene there with Ian McKellen and Judi Dench. These are the notes that you need to get down for future revision. So first of all, Lady Macbeth is not happy losing influence over her husband. However, she still tries to put a brave face to her husband. These aren't necessarily in a strict order, I should say. These are just the kind of the big talking points or discussion points in this scene. The second one in green, Macbeth's fear of Banquo and Fleance is becoming an obsession. He just cannot get rid of this fear, and it's just getting bigger and bigger and making him mentally unwell, and he's lost his sense of sleep. He can't sleep. He's not enjoying his food. He's just generally he's becoming a really kind of ill character. Lady Macbeth's advice is to simply pretend to be happy, because that's what she's doing. She's putting on this face of being happy and being content, which is covering and masking her own inner trauma and her own mental anguish, which ultimately, as we'll see later in the play, will come out. You know, if you kind of if you deny it and try and repress your feelings, they will come out later, and often in a worse way. Macbeth's mental torture is described vividly in that quotes full of scorpions is my mind. It's a really good quote to remember. And finally, Macbeth does not tell Lady Macbeth about his plan to murder Banquo, but does say that he has to do bad things. So she kind of, although he's not said it explicitly, certainly in that clip, you can see on Lady Macbeth's face that she's worked out what he's actually going to do. Right, so get those notes down, and if you've got any questions or any issues, send me an email or make a comment in Google Classroom, and we shall see you soon. Take care, guys. Bye for now.